My name is Colin Molitor. Today I'll be presenting my Capstone project, Cyberhawk's Pathway to Part 108 Implementation. This project explores how leadership, safety, and regulatory readiness intersect and how a biblical worldview can guide an aviation organization like Cyberhawk through significant regulatory change with excellence and stewardship. I want to begin with this picture: drone flying over electrical lines, thousands of people depending on that infrastructure to stay safe, warm, and connected. Now imagine a single safety oversight causing property damage, power outages, or even injury, and the implications that those bring. This scenario illustrates why aviation safety is more than regulatory compliance. It is a matter of stewardship. Scripture tells us, "Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord." In Colossians 3:23. This project is built on that principle, that excellence, safety, diligence, and aviation operations are expressions of biblical stewardship. Before we move further into the regulatory and safety discussion, it's important to briefly introduce CyberHawk to give context for the rest of the presentation. CyberHawk is a global leader in drone-based inspections for critical infrastructure. The company has been operating for more than 15 years, conducting remote inspections for major clients in the energy, oil, gas, and utility sectors. Their work involves capturing high-quality aerial data, performing asset inspections, and converting that data into actionable reports that help organizations maintain safety and reliability. CyberArk operates all over the world and is widely recognized for pioneering some of the earliest industrial unmanned aircraft system applications. Because they operate in high-risk, highly regulated environments, safety has always been at the center of their mission. That is a major reason why the upcoming transition from Part 107 to Part 108 organizational certification is so significant. Understanding who CyberHawk is and the scope of their operations help explain why safety management system development, leadership engagement, and regulatory preparedness are essential for their continual success for protecting the crucial infrastructure they support. I also want to clarify the regulatory foundation. Right now, most commercial drone operations in the United States fall under Part 107, which regulates remote pilots, visual line of sight requirements, and basic operational limitations. The upcoming Part 108 rule will fundamentally shift the system. Instead of focusing mainly on individual pilots, Part 108 will require organizations such as Cyberhawk to earn operating certificates, implement safety management systems, and meet higher standards for advanced operations such as beyond visual line of sight, as well as there being expanded oversight. Since my audience may not work directly in the drone sector, I'll walk through every requirement in plain language as we go. Now, why does this matter to the industry and to Christians? It's important for two major reasons. First, the aviation industry. Part 108 will move drones into a more traditional, safety management system driven regulatory framework. This creates increased accountability, higher safety expectations, and expanded operational potential, as well as creating long term regulatory stability. Second, for Christians working in aviation, we are called to protect human life, steward resources responsibly, and pursue excellence in everything we build or operate. Proverbs 21:5 teaches us that the plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, reinforcing the biblical imperative of careful planning, especially in safety critical environments like aviation. Luke 14:28 also teaches that careful planning is essential for all kinds of tasks, from building a tower to flying a drone. The thesis of my project is CyberHawk can achieve regulatory readiness, operational safety, and organizational resilience for the Federal Aviation Administration Part 108 transition by rewriting its operations manual to include a safety management system and implementing a dual track roadmap through the integrated lenses of leadership, safety, and regulation. For the rest of this presentation, I will go over each lens: leadership, safety, and regulatory/operational, as well as include my biblical worldview integration. I'll then go over my implementation plan, results, and reflection. My research began with examining leadership. The literature consistently shows that leadership engagement is the number one factor influencing organizational safety culture. Studies by Get and Oprea, Cantorino and colleagues, and others show that leadership shape employees' motivation, performance, and willingness to adopt new systems. For Cyberhawk, leadership is already strong, globally distributed, but unified in messaging. This foundation is essential because implementing an safety management system under Part 108 isn't just a procedural change, it's a cultural transformation. And from a biblical worldview, leadership is rooted in humility, accountability, and service, which are traits modeled by Christ. Next, I analyze the safety literature. Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board emphasize that safety management systems are the future of aviation safety. Safety management systems include four pillars: policy, risk management, assurance, and promotion. Each pillar also aligns with biblical themes like diligence, accountability, and the protection of life. Research also shows that training must be structured and intentional to truly improve safety behavior. Casey and colleagues emphasize training stickiness, meaning that training must be practical, repeatable, and reinforced. For Cyberhawk, these safety principles already guide many of their practices, but Part 108 will require formalizing and documenting them more systematically. My research also identified challenges. Several studies show that safety management systems can be resource intensive, especially for global, rapidly scaling companies. Training quality can vary significantly, especially in fast moving technological fields like unmanned aircraft systems. And the regulatory environment is still immature. Researchers like Sun and Hubbard highlight gaps in drone registration systems and certification processes across the United States. Understanding these challenges help shape realistic recommendations for Cyberhawk. I then examined the regulatory landscape. Part 108 will require organizations to demonstrate safety management system compliance, documented procedures, safety reporting, and operational oversight. This shift mirrors manned aviation and supports more advanced operations such as beyond visual line of sight. Collaborations among universities, the Federal Aviation Administration, and industry partners such as the National Air and Space Administration's Beyond Visual Line of Sight initiatives are shaping these standards today. In short, Part 108 is both a challenge and a significant opportunities for companies like Cyberhawk. Throughout my project, my biblical worldview guided my interpretation. The Bible represents a clear framework of creation, fall, and redemption. Creation calls us to steward technology and resources wisely. The fall explains why human error, shortcuts, and poor communication threaten aviation safety. And redemption encourages us to restore order through systems like a safety management system that protect people and honor God. Verses like Luke 14:28, Proverbs 21:5, and Colossians 3:23 reinforce the importance of planning, diligence, and excellence, principles that align directly with building safe aviation systems. My implementation work focused on preparing Cyberhawk for Part 108 while minimizing disruptions to ongoing operations. The project followed three phases. Phase 1 was to conduct a gap analysis, do some leadership training, and figure out resource allocation. Phase 2 is safety management, system integration, and getting employees on board. And finally, phase 3 is to be certified under the Federal Aviation Administration Part 108 rule once the final rule is released. My contribution for this project centered on phase 1, building the foundation needed for phases 2 and 3. During my implementation hours, I conducted a comprehensive Part 5 safety management system gap analysis. Part 5 is the Federal Aviation Administration rule that outlines exactly what a safety management system should look like. I reviewed CyberHawk's manuals, training processes, safety reports, and organizational structure and program documentation. I had multiple discussions with my mentor, examined existing reporting tools, and compared them all to Federal Aviation Administration requirements. This was a detailed line by line assessment of the company's readiness. The final deliverable was a comprehensive safety management system assessment package, including an executive summary, an overview on what a safety management system is, my methodology for getting these results, a one-page results table, followed by my detailed findings, and lastly, my prioritized recommendations for CyberHawk to become compliant. This deliverable becomes CyberHawk's blueprint for Phase 2 implementation. The analysis produced several key results. First, CyberHawk already meets roughly one-third of the safety management system requirements, primarily in safety reporting and leadership engagement. Second, about 40% of the requirements are only partially met, indicating that documentation or formalization is needed. Finally, the remaining 30% consists of foundational safety management system documents that must be written for Part 108. Perhaps most importantly, CyberHawk's culture is ready for this transition. The company already holds weekly safety meetings and fosters open reporting. This is an example of the part of the one-page results table that I added in my assessment package to CyberHawk, showing each SMS component that has to be met for compliance, whether it's met, almost met, or not met, and a summary of how it's met, how it's almost met, or how it is not met. This capstone taught me that safety management system implementation is far more cultural than it is procedural. CyberHawk is more prepared than expected, which validated my thesis. One personal moment that shaped my conclusion was working directly with leadership members who not only understood safety but also embraced accountability and diligence. It reminded me that aviation safety reflects God honoring stewardship. My conclusion is that CyberHawk is well positioned for the regulatory shift, and its leadership culture will be the determining factor in a successful transition should they follow all of the recommendations I gave to become compliant. In conclusion, CyberHawk can achieve regulatory readiness, operational safety, and organizational resilience from Part 108 through a dual track strategy grounded in leadership engagement, proactive safety management system development, and biblical stewardship. We've gone over my leadership research, safety, and regulatory research, walk through my implementation work, and examine the results. As we approach a new era of unmanned aircraft system regulation, I challenge each of us, whether pilots, leaders, or educators, to pursue excellence, diligence, and stewardship in all we do. Thank you for your time, and a full reference list is available in my capstone paper.